Welcome to the Nonprofit Podcast. I'm Cara Augspurger, fundraising coach at Donobox, and today I am very excited to introduce you to a woman who has lived the dream that inspires so many of us, making real change in the lives of people who need it most. Chris Coates has always lived a life centered in service, but a trip to Cambodia opened the floodgates to taking a plunge in the nonprofit pool. Starting the Trailblazer Foundation 17 years ago literally turned on the taps, bringing much-needed clean, potable water to rural communities around Cambodia. Today, she shares the realities, rewards, and life lessons of this transformative journey with thought leader Heidi Bianco.
Welcome. I am Heidi Bianco, and this nonprofit spotlight moment is brought to you by Donobox. I am honored to introduce you to Chris Coates, Executive Director and co-founder of the Trailblazer Foundation. Chris, welcome.
Thank you, Heidi.
Chris, would you please tell us about the inspiration behind the Trailblazer Foundation?
Sure. Actually, the other co-founder is my former husband. And so really a lot of our life had been spent in different service work, whether it be mission trips or through our church with youth groups. And then we were foster parents for about 8 years. And so then when our daughter was heading off to college, we thought, well, it'd be easy to just stay at the job and pay the mortgage. But we just wanted something that was more rewarding and fulfilling in our life. So we decided to try international volunteer work. And so we quit our jobs and put our house up for rent and left the country. And so we spent 2 years doing work. And one of our trips took us through Cambodia. We wanted to go see the Angkor Wat temples. And we just fell in love with the people and the country, and we saw the need. I mean, the lack of water and the poverty was just palpable. And we thought, well, when we're done with our commitments, we want to go back to Cambodia and really sink our teeth into helping the people here. And so that's really the impetus of what started the idea of forming our own nonprofit. And to do it right, we also then took that next step to get our 501c3 tax exempt status.
That's amazing. And that is quite a leap of faith to take and to make such a change in your life. Now, in reference to the people that you help, could you share a story about a person or a group that your program has benefited?
Our staff routinely takes case studies, is what they call them, from the field. From people who have received our products or services in the past. And so one story that I'll tell you about is Ms. Mex. She's a 38-year-old farmer and a basket maker. She dropped out of school in 8th grade because her parents were struggling to support her to stay in school. Her husband works as a construction worker, and they have 3 children, ages 15, 7, and 7 months old. They received a well and a water filter from Trailblazer in 2019, and she uses the filtered water for cooking and drinking, and the well water for laundry, bathing, watering their animals. And before she had a filter and a well from us, her water source was really poor, and so she'd go to the neighbors to collect water, but she'd spend a good deal of her day hauling water back and forth, and she had her oldest child help her sometimes, but then he'd miss school because it just took so long to get enough water to service the family. And so now that she has a filter and a well, she's got a consistent source of water, year-round supply. She's got good drinking water. So now their health is improved. They're not sick anymore. And they're not spending money on the hospital. So now that income they can use for more necessary things. So it's really changed their life.
That's amazing. So the Trailblazer Foundation provides the water, like the digging of the wells. Would you elaborate a little bit more on that? please.
Yes, we dig, they're called PVC pull pump wells. And so it's really depending on how the homes are clustered. It's really a point of use for like 1 to 3 families. And it's really simple to use. Maybe your grandparents had the cast iron pump. These are really just a PVC pull pump. So, I mean, a child can pull on that plunger and it supplies enough water for all their needs. And then we make and install the biosand water filters, which they're made out of concrete, and then they have gravel and sand that's the filtration media. And they're designed to service 15 people. So again, depending on if families are clustered, most families average about 5 people. So that can help, 2 or 3 families.
That's amazing.
Inspired by our guest? When your supporters feel the same way about your mission, put the power of speedy giving in their hands. Donorbox Text to Give is super easy to set up and lets your supporters give by sending a simple text message from their smartphones. One setup, no forms, no fuss. Ideal for on-the-spot donation drives, church services and conferences, or hassle-free repeat donations. Let the moment move you. Donorbox, helping you help others.
Now, you mentioned a little bit about your staff. Would you give me a little insight about your staff?
We actually have 12 staff. So I have a local director, Mr. Ratanak, and then there's 2 office staff, 2 gals that do the bookkeeping and record keeping and things like that. And then we have a economic development coordinator who's the one that collects these case studies and this sort of thing and goes in the field. We have an agriculture supervisor, and we have 3 guys on making the water filters and installing them, and 3 guys on the well drilling team. So
how do these people in Cambodia actually get on the list to be able to get the water? What is that determining factor?
Sure. Good question too. We work within a government development process, and because of our reputation and our relationships, because we've been there 17 years working there. So the government basically informs us. They have every fall what they call an integrated workshop, and it's at the district level. So you got your village, commune, district, province, country. And so we get invited. We're one of a handful of NGOs, non-government organizations, that get invited to attend these workshops. And it's a village-based process. So the villagers have told their chief what their needs are or wants. And so they're put on this list. And then these lists are put up all around the room. And according to our financial ability, and of course, with just the capacity of our work, what we do, we then can find out what people need. And that's what takes us into the villages that we're working. And we sign agreements to say, okay, we'll go into this village next with 30 water filters or 60 wells or whatever. And so it works really well. And we make sure that any of our recipients, they have to have some skin in the game. And so no matter what it is that they receive from us, if it's a well or a filter or a latrine or a bicycle, we ask that they make a small contribution. And I mean, we're talking like $5 or less. And that money goes into a village fund. It doesn't come back to Trailblazer. And so then that village fund becomes something that as that capital grows, the rest of the people in the village can borrow against it. So they start their own little microloan system, and they can start businesses or buy livestock or put a better roof on their house or pay for medical expenses.
That's absolutely amazing. I had no idea that you were as far reaching as that you are. Now, you kind of touched a base a little bit about the financial, and last year was such a challenge for so many nonprofits. What challenges have you had or are you facing? And how was last year for you?
Yeah. Well, actually, the last couple years have been, for whatever reason, the best they've been in a long time. So we just felt very, very fortunate and blessed that people have been giving through the hard time. However, this year, we've recently lost 2 very significant benefactors that were a huge chunk of our budget. And so that takes us back to the drawing board, where if we can't find new donors or have current donors step up a little bit, it could impact what we're going to be able to do and the good work that we're doing to reduce poverty. And we really are so grateful that we have such a great donor base that has continued to support us and invest in us. And a lot of our donors have come to us as from being a volunteer first. So they've been on the ground, they participated in the work we've done, they see the people and how it's impacting the villagers' lives, and they just get really inspired. And so we're very blessed for that too.
That's absolutely wonderful. Now, if there's one thing that you would like our viewers to walk away with today, what would it be?
Well, I've had a lot of people ask me, why Cambodia? And if you aren't aware, I mean, the Khmer Rouge regime and that genocide that happened in 1975 to 1979 basically wiped out Cambodia's mentors and intellect. And so that country has been really starting over from scratch. And in my experience there, the Cambodians, they don't have the options and opportunities that a lot of us in the Western world have, but they are some of the most motivated people. And it's easy to give to people who want to help themselves. And I think, when you know that you've given and it's really helped and really made an impact and a difference in changing people's lives, it's rewarding. And I think giving is good for the soul.
I agree 100% with you on that. Chris, your work and the people that you've impacted is so absolutely incredible. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the work that you do. So often we take for granted in our daily lives what you are providing to so many different Cambodian people. And I appreciate you so much.
Well, thank you for having me. And thanks to Donobox for having us be a spotlight today.
Absolutely. Again, a special thank you to Donobox for sponsoring this inspirational moment. At Donobox, we believe helping you helps others.
I am so inspired by that. What an amazing journey the Trailblazer Foundation has been on. And what great advice. Chris really nailed it on the 3 R's: recipients, relationships, and reputation. When you have that as a starting point, you know you have built a strong foundation in every sense of the word. At Donobox, we have the honor of working with many inspiring organizations. They motivate and teach us every day. So join us every Thursday to share in the learning they have to offer. Or better yet, follow the Nonprofit Podcast and never miss a minute. Join us next time when Jenna heads for the top with Upward Scholars, a California organization providing adult immigrants the boost they need to move up the economic ladder through education and career development support. I know I'm excited to hear Upward Scholars share how you can make a difference, even with a lean nonprofit team. Until next time.
The Nonprofit Podcast, powered by Donobox, helping you help others.